So hello everyone. Today again we are discussing something of a matter of interest, something around agile coaching, and we have a professional who is willing to share some of the questions, challenges which may usually get occurred in the agile coaching interview space, and then we explore together how possibly we can answer it. Yeah. So go ahead and share your query. Maybe you want to give a brief introduction before that. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I've been in the agile project management methodology for the last 2 years, and I've been a Scrum Master for the 2 years. So I got an opportunity to apply for an agile coach responsibility. I made an application, and the interview has been a 3-stage interview. So I've gone for the first stage, second stage, the third stage, which is a case-based interview. And I was given the opportunity to have a glimpse into the question I'll be seeing on the day of the interview. So I just wanted to quickly run them through you.
Perfect.
And see how prepared I am, and as well as also get your opinion. I've been watching your YouTube video for the past 8 months, and the first 2 stages I went to, everything I said was what I hear you say. I just went back there to tell them the way you normally say it, and they were so pleased. So when I got it to this third stage, I said it would be very sensible and wise for me to come back to where I'm getting information from to help me to be more articulate in giving back my response, because
Perfect.
I've gotten a lot from you just watching your YouTube video and how you place the answers. That is the reason for this meeting today.
Perfect. My pleasure. So go ahead. Let's start.
So for the case study, one of the case study question is going to be, as an agile coach, you will be deployed within a group of team, like linked by structural organization or a key business objective. The first question is, regardless of the area you are deployed, talk us through what is your discovering phase.
Okay.
Regardless of the department you're working from, talk us through what is your discovering phase as an agile coach.
Okay. So in a way, what I am sensing here is that they are giving you a situation where they put you in the organization where multiple teams or departments are there. And maybe you have been given a responsibility of transforming one department or a collection of teams. Yeah. So that seems to be the starting point. And then they are asking, when you are placed in that scenario, how do you get started? What is your step one? Maybe what you do in the first week of that particular assignment, and how do you initiate that particular activity going forward? Is this something you also understand in the similar way, the question which is given there?
Yes, absolutely. It's something that I understand in a similar way. I'm just looking at what I was thinking was talk about how I will identify the current business process, the current directional flow of information, the dependencies, and the common bottleneck the team I was deployed to is facing, and as well as identify the ongoing business initiative and KPIs of the team members. In doing this, I'm able to come up with a coaching style, looking at the pain points and the gain of the team, come up with an idea of how to inform, coach, mentor, and as well as professionally facilitate all the agile events and ceremonials with the team.
I really like your idea. So what I'm just reiterating so that both of us are on the same page. So what you are saying is that in the initial stage, you want to understand what team is doing. You may want to do a business process analysis, which is more like understanding what they are doing. Maybe you create a value stream map. I'm adding this part. You may understand overall flow of work, and you also understand what part is working, what part is not working. So you want to understand their bottlenecks, where are the areas where the improvement might be needed. You observe their business process. And based on that, you may come up with your coaching intervention plan, which explains what are the training opportunities are there, what kind of a mentoring opportunities might be needed, and where the coaching opportunities are. Yeah?
Yes.
So I see this is a perfect thing, and you can brainstorm and think around these lines. So it's like, before you say anything, before you advise anything, you want to listen and observe. That's the whole theme. So you may stress upon that I don't want to push my agenda. I want to learn what is working. So that's the one thing you do, and you find what are the ways of learning. Now, there could be multiple ways of learning. One is that maybe the people who are introducing you to the department, they may give you a briefing. That could be a starting point. Or they may give you an access to the tools where the backlogs and the issues and impediments and and risks and other stuffs are lying. So you may do the observation based on the studying of those tools. So this could be a means of doing it. So you can give a little clue around that. And it could be that you may conduct a kind of a workshop with the set of scrum masters or some peoples and leaders who are expected to be working with the team to understand what is working and what is not working. So these are the variety of technique you can use to observe the business process. You can little bit give idea on, and you need to see which one is more suitable depending upon the context you are working on. So I'm agreeing to your listening point. I'm agreeing that yes, we need to understand how the business processes are working. I'm just extending it, and I'm taking it a little bit second level and talking about that. Yes, I may look at the systems, some evidences, the burn down charts, the Kanban boards, the issue logs, the impediment logs, the other stuff. Yeah, that could be a one source. The another source could be that maybe I get a briefing from the leadership why they called me at the first place. So someone will tell me, why you have been hired. So I may use that as an opportunity to learn what is working and what is not working. And I may conduct a kind of a retrospective or a facilitated session with some key stakeholders to understand what is working and what is not working.
Oh, absolutely. Your response is very accurate. I think I'm going to adopt what you said right now. Thank you so much. I'll go straight to the second question. Second question is saying, what are you looking to observe? As soon as you're deployed into the team, you've had the discovering phase. The next thing is, what are you looking to observe? I'm missing it all because I was thinking as an agile coach, I should be looking at all the agile feedback. It's in terms of the matrices. Those would be my observation, like looking at the agile artifacts, which is the backlog release and the release artifacts.
Perfect.
Those will inform me very well as an agile coach. But what would you think? What should I be observing? What should I be looking to observe?
So it is like kind of an extension of the previous question in a way. So like you started talking to people, you started looking at the data, you started having workshops with people. Now, what do you observe when you are doing it? Yeah, what are the areas which you might be noting down? Yeah, so that's something is the second question. Now, many times we in general, many people start focusing on the problem areas. So what is not working? What are the problems? Yeah, so that maybe you observe. And if you're working in a multi-team environment, I may also say that you also observe what is working well in a one team, in the another team. So it's like this, that I may ask people, or I may ask each Scrum Master to showcase what is working best for them in agile way of working. Which practice is working good, which practice is giving them a good result. So I may talk about good areas, and I may also talk about the pain areas. And I may use one team good areas as a learning for the another team pain area. So for example, one team might have improved in a daily Scrum, and another team might be struggling into a daily Scrum. So I might want to do the same context because it's the same department or same group of people. So that's why I want to do a good and bad study both. So that's a little different point, but I want to say whenever you observe both the things, because many times as a problem solver, we focus too much on the problem. So just don't limit your focus on the problem and look at the positive side, the good side of the conversation as well. That's the first thing. Now, what do you look at? So you go with open mind. You look at all the aspects which help people to deliver value. That's the essential thing. Now, it could be a quality aspect. It could be the people happiness and sustainable pace aspect. It could be the alignment and collaboration aspect, how well people align and collaborate with each other, how well they collaborate with the stakeholders. So you may note down few dimensions and can say that it will basically depend upon the first section when I have a conversation where I will find out what are the important areas to observe. But I do want to look into multiple areas. You can say people, process, product. That's the first level classification. And then you get into the details of it. What all things are helping me to deliver a better product? What are the things are helping me to make a happy people collaborating with each other, and what are the processes where things are getting delayed, bottlenecks, the time to market, and all those things which are coming. So I may look at things like lead times, think like the aging of the backlog. When I talk about a process part, the product part, I may look at things like the quality of the product. I may look at things as how satisfied the customers are, what they feel about the product, how well the requirements are understood. So some dimensions which help me to see how alignment between the business and development team is. And then I may look at a people aspect as well, related to the sustainable pace, how happy people are, how collaborative they are, what is the level of conflict is there. So I may start from these 3 dimensions, and you may have a subcategories as well, which talks about that these are the things I'm going to observe, because all these things come together is ultimately helping me to have a sustainable pace where people produce value. So I will come up with a final list, but in a way, you may right now also prepare some part of it. But yes, that is something you say. So these are the areas you are looking for, how well the different aspect of product development and people are playing it out.
Wow, absolutely. I agree with you. I was not thinking in these lights, but just hearing you talk, I absolutely agree with you. Very well. I like I said, this session is for me to go back with everything you said. I'm not coming with my own opinion, because I've stick to your opinion for the last 2 sessions, two interviews I've gone to, and I've come out successfully. So I'm going to take everything you said now, digest them, use my own words, and as well as pour it out later today. The next follow-up question will be, who would you want to be speaking to on day 1 as soon as you're deployed to the team?
Yeah. So it's just go ahead. You okay. Share what you think.
My response to this would have been, I would have been looking at the product owner and the stakeholders and the senior stakeholders. I wanted to have a communication plan with them, and as well as speak with the product owner to know to estimate the product roadmap, and as well as forecast the product backlog as well. That would be perfect. The first sort of people I want to speak with, but I want to hear from you as well.
So when you say that I want to understand the product owner and I want to understand the product backlog and all those things, now it gives a sense that you might be sensing problem in the product space. So that's why you are specifically talking about that person. Yeah. So that could be that could be true. That could be not relevant. So depend. Yeah. So what you can say that, yes, I need to understand who are the key stakeholders, depending upon my observations and depending upon the invitation I got. So it is again related to the first and second and third. So based on my first introduction into the teams or department, second, my understanding of the various available artifacts like the boards and an impediment list and all. And third, based on my initial conversation with a few key stakeholders who has been identified maybe initially to start with, maybe a stakeholder or a scrum masters, I might need to have few stakeholders who are predefined. So I do some workshop with them. And based on that, I will come up with a stakeholder list. So I will come up with who are the people who I need to be having one-on-one conversation, who are the people I need to have a group conversation. So I will come up with my, say, communication activity plan. There could be few individuals I may need to understand their, say, you can give an example that in one of the contexts, there was a product owner who was seriously not happy with the way teams were working. And he was the major reason behind the hiring of the coach. So we wanted to understand what is his expectation, what he want to change after my involvement. So the people who have been pitching for some improvements, they are my definitely key stakeholder. They are the one who are funding my initiative. So I definitely meet and do their understanding. That's a one way of in. Then I take the exact opposite dimension, people who are expected to deliver. So there are some people who are asking for a delivery. There are other people who are responsible for delivery. So I need to also understand what is blocking them, what is their opinion about this whole matter. So I also want to have an interaction with them. Sometimes I may do a group session with them rather than a one-on-one. So example, like there could be a few selective team members we will invite and from all the other teams, and we will run a small retrospective or a facilitated workshop to understand how the development is happening, what is working good for them, what is troubling them when they are doing their development. So just to get a sense of how things are working, which I might have already got from my first 2 steps. So I talk to them. And definitely the Scrum Masters plays a key role because they are expected to be extension of your role. So whatever you do, whatever process improvement we are looking for, whatever facilitation and leadership we are looking for, the overall, the key party will be the Scrum Master. So I in general, you can say until unless there is a specific case, in general, I work as an extended Scrum Master as my extended team. So I definitely want to understand their perspective and bring them together in this overall, whatever improvement or transformation goal the organization has, assuming if the Scrum Masters are already identified. If not, then I might have a different case.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a follow-up question to this. The follow-up question will say, what would be your approach to mobilize the team to deliver to deliver products? What would be your approach to mobilize teams to deliver products?
Yeah. So see, the issue here is, even with Agile and Scrum as well, the organizations are still looking for someone who can mobilize the team. Yeah, that's the whole thing. The leadership style where the one person is key. But in the Agile way of working, the team should mobilize on their own, and we should create an environment so they get mobilized. So that's something you need to take a judgment call where people are looking for. Now, what do you do in order to create a sense of commitment, the sense of accountability, the sense of ownership in the work? So the only thing is, by creating this commitment and engagement, only things can mobilize. So how do you create an environment so people start feeling that they care for what they are doing? So that is the only role. Ultimately, the work has to be done by them. You can't start dictating the work. You can't start doing some problem solving, because you might not be knowing. You might not be knowing the product. You might not be knowing the technology and the area they are working on. So that part might be very abstract for you. So what do? Your whole area is collaboration. So you look for, how can I improve trust and collaboration and transparency in my team? So what are the processes? How well the information is getting shared? How well the people are engaged when they are doing estimation? How well they understand the requirement? What are their fear of raising the problem? How well they get helped whenever there is an impediment? And how can I resolve those impediment myself? So I take as a servant leadership approach, and I teach that same thing to my Scrum Masters to take a servant leadership approach, so that we have a team which is really producing on their own, and we create an environment so they start producing. So so resolving their impediments, ensuring and helping them to understand each other, know each other, have some amount of trust amongst each other, engaging them more in the decision making process, like requirement as well as work exploration if it is not happening there, and then asking them that, okay, what should we do so that we all of us remain happily working in what we are doing, because it's a joint happiness. The team cannot be happy alone, and at the same time stakeholder cannot be happy alone. So I ask them to be part of the decision making rather than just remain outside. So I think you focus on collaboration, trust, and transparency to start with, and may add the other thing if you want to add and little bit elaborate more. Yeah.
Wow, absolutely. I also agree with you again. In listening to you, one thing I've understood is you have a very high depth of knowledge everyone should take advantage of because of your understanding of project management and agile methodology. I'm going to go back on this recording and have a fully digestion of it to enable me appropriate my speech during the case-based interview later today. I'm very grateful to you. This is the scenario they've painted for me. I've not been able to envisage the follow-up questions to the situation, but I believe if by the time I talk like this, it shows the organization how knowledgeable I am as well. And any other follow-up question would be the way you've answered it over the time will be the way I'll respond to things as well. So I'm going to go back immediately now to digest this question, this answers you've given me, put them together in my own language, and also use the agile jargons in qualifying some of the things. I think that will help me as well.
Perfect. Thank you. I think I'm good. And in case later on we need for more conversation, we can schedule the similar call.
Yes. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much for your prompt response. Thank you for your time. I'm happy associating with you. It's really nice. I'll come back with the results. I'll let you know the next stage of the interview. This is the stage 3 and it's a case-based interview for 1 hour. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.